Welcome to Encapsulado Day has been a day of heightened tensions across the Middle East after the attack on the U.S. base last weekend. The Biden administration made it clear that it would retaliate with heavy strikes against Iranian proxies. And then last night, the first retaliatory strikes by the U.S. Air Force began in a massive bombing campaign where U.S. military bombed targets in Syria and Iraq, bordering Iran. The massive bombardment by U.S. B-1 bombers inflicted enormous damage on pro-Iranian armed groups and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. The U.S. bombing destroyed more than 85 targets and hundreds of high-powered missiles were used. The high tension on Iran's borders immediately spilled over into the Red Sea. Yesterday morning's Houthi attacks triggered a second wave of large bombings by the U.S. and coalition troops on the Houthis in Yemen, as part of an ongoing international effort to respond to the Iranian-backed Houthis, increasingly destabilizing and unlawful activities in the region tonight. Tonight, US Central Command, the United Kingdom's armed forces with backing from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands, and New Zealand struck 36 Houthi targets at 13 locations in Iran-backed Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The strikes destroyed Houthi arsenals, air defense systems, and headquarters. These multilateral coalition strikes focused on targets in Houthi-controlled Yemen that were used to attack international commercial vessels and U.S. Navy ships in the region. Airstrikes on so many targets at the same time was when U.S. airstrikes targeted multiple underground storage facilities, command and control systems, and missile systems, which even the armed group in Yemen did not expect. UAV storage and operation installations in the Houthi port region were also damaged by F-18s and multi-domain strikes. The worst loss was their vast stockpile of anti-ship missiles and drones, which were the source of their attacks. A-18 Hornets of the USS Lawan and USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group attacked the largest arsenal of drones and missiles in the Houthi port. This was the second significant shockwave for Iran, with the 12th round of strikes by the U.S. and coalition forces. A total of 4 ascms, 6 lacms, 11 asbms, 100 unmanned aerial vehicles, 1 USV, 3 speedboats, and 28 asbm launches. Site 14, drone launch SES-1 SAM-1 Plus. So far, the U.S. and coalition navies destroyed 5 ascms, 6 lacms, 33 asbm, 122 drones, and 2 usvs launched by the Houthis. So how were the attacks by the U.S. and coalition forces triggered? Last night, it was reported that the U.S.-led coalition forces began their 12th round of strikes against the Houthis in Yemen with heavy bombardment. Let us now shed light on the most striking details of the massive wave of attacks launched by U.S. soldiers noticed cruise missiles in Houthi-controlled regions of Yemen and assessed that they presented an imminent threat to U.S. Navy ships and commercial boats in the region. This action was intended to safeguard freedom of navigation and make international seas safer and more secure for the U.S. Navy and commercial vessels. The attacks escalated yesterday morning when the USS Carney shot down a drone over the Gulf of Aden at around 10:30 a.m. SAA time and continued over the weekend. No injuries or damage were reported during the attempted attack in which the USS Carney intercepted the drone. Later that day, U.S. Central Command forces attacked 4 Houthi drones that were preparing to launch. U.S. forces detected the drones in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen and determined that, at around 4:40 p.m., they posed a serious threat to commercial vessels and U.S. Navy ships in the region. U.S. Central Command MQ-9 Reaper drones identified drones in Houthi-controlled parts of Yemen and decided that they presented an immediate threat to commercial boats and U.S. Navy ships in the area around 9:20 p.m. F-18 Hornets from USS Laboon and USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group shot down 7 drones over the Red Sea. No injuries or damage were reported, according to several U.S. defense officials. Tonight's U.S. and U.K. strikes against the Houthi group in Yemen are not part of the ongoing intervention campaign against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps and Iranian-backed groups in Iraq and Syria, officials said. Multinational actions in Yemen are fully independent and should not be confused with one another. The objective of these operations is to diminish the capability of the Houthis to carry on with their reckless and unlawful attacks against ships owned by the United States and the United Kingdom, as well as international commercial vessels operating in the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and Gulf of Aden. These strikes are different and separate from the freedom of navigation actions that are being carried out by multinational organizations as part of Operation Welfare Guard. Furthermore, the conflict between Israel and Hamas has contributed to the escalation of violence in other regions of the Middle East. In addition, Iranian-backed militias have been aiding Hamas and fighting a secret war against Israel for years, have joined in on the present struggle. These forces, which are thought to be a component of Iran's so-called axis of resistance, have carried out assaults against Israeli-targeted ships and Israel itself in the Red Sea.